Cotney Construction Law is dedicated to helping the construction industry in legal, risk, and safety challenges. Welcome to this week's Law and Mortar with John Kenney and Trent Cotney.
I'd like to welcome everybody to another Law and Mortar. I am Trent Cotney, CEO of Cotney Construction Law. We've got John Kenney, CEO of Cotney Consulting Group. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
Doing good. Glad it's been a prosperous week. We've had a lot going on and a lot of different things to talk about today. I guess I want to start off and talk about some of the stuff coming into 2021 with the Biden administration. On the legal side, we have been working a lot already on public-private partnerships. They're commonly referred to as P3 project delivery methods. And, you know, from our standpoint, we get involved on the contractual side. Occasionally we get involved in the dispute side. But, you know, what are you seeing out there as far as the Biden administration? And do you think that there's going to be more P3 type projects moving into 2021?
Yeah, I do. From what I see, definitely on the heavy side, infrastructure, there's going to be some. I did see some things a lot up in the north of some of the cities. We're going to get some of their projects done through the partnerships. And looks like he might be leaning to some of that on some of the vertical construction too. I've seen hospitals that are publicly owned but have private donors, and they're looking for outside partners. So it hasn't really been too clear on that, but I've seen a little bit of that on the vertical side as well. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to come up on that.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. I think there's a lot of potential opportunity for contractors if they're paying attention to where the money's going to go. And obviously, we're, you know, keeping our eyes and ears to the ground on that because as stuff starts to roll out here, I think we're going to see a lot of money put into renewable energy infrastructure type improvements. We're getting a little bit colder weather now. I know some of the states and our customers up north have already experienced snows and you know, sub-freezing temperatures. As we start moving into winter, I want to talk a little bit about safety. You know, obviously, we're always focused on safety here. We do a lot of OSHA defense. From a cold weather standpoint, one of the things that we have to deal with the most is injury related to or illness related to you know, hypothermia or sub-zero type freezing related issues. Training on that is absolutely critical, so we recommend that there's additional training. A lot of people don't realize that hydration is just as important during winter as it is during summer, and oftentimes you forget that because it's cold outside. But you know, from a roofing perspective on roofs, and I know you worked in New Jersey and you've worked in a lot of cold climates, what are some of the precautions that, you know, contractors can take when it comes to, you know, roofing in cold weather, not just, you know, for safety, but for also making sure that, you know, the customers are protected, you know, from structural load and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, jumping back on the safety side, I could tell you from experience working in it, you're correct on the dehydration. Actually, people dehydrate faster in the winter than they do in the summer because they're making attempts to drink in the summer, where a lot of times in the winter they're not. So you get a lot of cramping and issues to deal with it. The other biggest problem on that is with your health is frostbite. Frostbite will sneak up on you. You know, your facial areas are very open to that, and your hands as well, because a lot of times you're going to take gloves off to do certain things, creep up on you big time. So you got to watch your workers for that. As far as safety to the building, yeah, loading is even more important in the winter with snow loads. And also the other thing, matter of fact, talking to a client up in the north, we're working with them, helping them with a policy for snow removal. That's a big thing, you know, getting that out almost as a maintenance agreement type deal. And a lot of things come into play there. You have snow, you have rain on top of it. A lot of times in the north, it's never one or the other, and it freezes. So you got a lot of hidden weight underneath snow. Then you could get a job shut down if you set it up. So you absolutely want to make sure all your materials are staggered out correctly, and you're sitting on top of a main support without too much weight on that main support. So rule of thumb, simple it down. What you're used to doing in the warmer weather, half as much weight in any area that you would do in the warmer weather to make sure you're compensating for the extra load that's going to be on the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, something else I know a lot of, especially like Chicago, some of the colder areas, roofing comes to almost a standstill during midwinter because it's just absolutely brutal. But it's a great time to do training. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we've got a lot of great training courses coming up, and everybody should stay tuned for that. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a lot. January should be a big month. We're looking at launching our online training suite in the month of January. We actually are starting to build it out now. We have offers. We're going to do OSHA training. We're going to do, we have CERTA training. These won't be so much online, but we're going to have availability with people out in the field to be able to do this. And winter's a great time to catch up. On the online, we've got a foreman's training coming up. There's going to be a certification for foreman. This is different than we're not going to teach roofing. We're not going to teach the basics of how to roof. That's not what we're into with this type of training. It's going to be into how to lead and manage your crews and different things like that, how to be a leader, deal with customers. Should be, we put a lot of time into this. Should be very good. We're also going to get into estimator training. We're going to have estimator training for companies, for individuals. There's going to be some certifications coming up. I expect it to, without getting too much into it, it's going to be very good. And it's going to be a nice feature for anybody to be able to take on both an individual and a company level.
Yeah, and I think what's different than, what's out there right now is there's really a focus on, business and operations, making
Yep.
sure that you understand the pull through and the follow through with the business side of things. So I'm interested in seeing, how all of that unfolds. And again, winter's always a great time to get up to speed on training. Along those lines, from a legal perspective, we're going to continue to engage in a variety of webinars that train on everything from HR related issues to legal issues that deal with construction contracts to safety related issues, you name it. But I do think between COVID-19 and winter, it's just a great time to learn. So looking forward to those offerings. Stay tuned for more on that.
We also too, to jump in for, we have a webinar coming up in December. Everybody will start to see that advertised next week. It's going to be entitled Estimating Strategy, Sales Force Culture, Re-roofing and Service, the perfect combination, winning combination for 2021. So really recommend anybody in roofing give that a shout out and watch that. It should be good to get you the kind of basics to get your juices flowing, get over what we went through this year and start concentrating on how to move ahead in 2021.
Yeah, and I can't think of any other estimating type courses out there, that really focus on, soup to nuts, understanding how to do it from the basics all the way to the more complex. So that's something that I think is going to be a unique offering. Last thing I want to end up with is, COVID-19, still an issue. Here we are almost a year later, still dealing with the stuff. We've seen a lot of spikes here lately, and a lot of different states and counties and cities have started shutting down again. Obviously from a legal standpoint, all the same issues that we were dealing with back in March and April are starting to come up again. And those issues relate to delays, scheduling issues, protection of equipment and materials if your project is suspended. All of those types of concerns that come with having jobs shut down or, anything that's related to COVID-19 type closures. So, John, what are you seeing on your end as these lockdown orders start coming in?
Yeah, it's kind of a twofold issue. You have the lockdown orders. We're seeing a lot of getting a tremendous amount of feedback. A lot of projects, and not just on roofing, this is throughout construction, are being put on hold. And the reason they're being put on hold now is that we have the spikes in COVID. It's still running rampant, but they all know that we have a vaccine that is very close to coming out. But that's not going to hit the general public till probably April beyond. That's what they're saying anyways. So they're looking like, okay, if we stall this off for 2 or 3 more months, by the time we get, out of ground through permitting and everything else, hopefully then we don't have to deal with this extra expenses of working through COVID. So we're seeing that as well. And we're still seeing a lot of companies that even if they're not shut down due to ordinances, they have a lot of COVID going through their internal organizations, both admin and in the field. So there's a lot of lost production and a lot of money that's not being made because they don't have the workforce to do it. Because if you are positive, you're usually out 2 weeks. So You take 10 people, even if it's staggered out in your company, that's 20 weeks worth of, lost production.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's going to continue to be a big issue all the way through, first quarter and probably beyond. I expect to see huge surge numbers in the next, few weeks, and I think that's going to go all the way through end of February and then some. I would anticipate that to a certain extent, we're probably in the same situation we are now this time next year. But on a more positive note, for our listeners, anybody that's listening to this, if you email either me, tcotney@cotneycl.com, or John, how can they get you?
That would be JKENNEY@cotneycl.com.
And you say that you watch this, we will send you a free Cotney face covering mask. It's actually a really nice mask. We got it here for our employees and our customers. And if you say that you watch the show, we'll send you one for free. So how about that? Not only do you get some education, but you also get a free mask. So
And they're nice mask too.
yeah, absolutely. I wear them. So also, if you have any ideas for us in the future, let us know. We're always interested. We'll touch on any subject that you want to talk about. We appreciate all our listeners, and I guess stay tuned for next time. So thank you.
Thank you. Take care now.